Okay, guys, so if you look at your assignment sheet, if you look at your assignment sheet, today we're just doing some more practice with our functions, domain, and range. So it's day 3 to functions, domain, and range card sort. So we don't have a mini quiz today. So we can do more practice with what we did last time. So we're going to go over worksheet 8, our homework. But last time we started on worksheet 7. Whoops, wrong one. Last time we started on worksheet 7. And we did a little bit in class. If you would, please go and get that out again. We're going to start off by doing a few more of those just to refresh your memory before I divide you up and have you work on the card sort. So how about worksheet 8 is what I'm checking for homework, but go ahead and get out number 7. We'll be doing some more of that together. 7. So this is what we did in class. At the end of class, we just did some more practice with our domain, range, and functions. And so I want to go and just do a few more with these together just to refresh our memories because it's been a weekend and I know how sometimes math can escape the brain. So we did the middle column last time. Let's go ahead and do the right side. Okay, so it says decide whether the relation is a function. If it is a function, give the domain and range. So just like we were saying as we were going over our homework, it's a function if we have our x is going to different y's. So if x is repeated and they have different y's, it's a problem. If x is repeated, it's the same y, that's okay. So to decide it's a function, we first look to see if x is repeated. Right away, we see we have x is repeated and they're different y's. We have not a function. And you can go ahead and fill this in on your worksheet 7 practice. All right, for number 6, I'm looking, my input are my x's. I'm looking to see if any of those repeat, and they don't. So yes, it's a function. And again, we're going to list our domain and our range. Our domain are those x values. We want to go from smallest to largest. So of my input values, the x values, which one's my smallest value? What do we start with? 0. There. That's 0, 1, 2, and 5. And same idea for my ranges, my outputs. We want to go from smallest to largest, which ends up being 0, 1, 2, and 5. Any questions with 3 or 6? Number 9. So remember, there's 4 different ways that we can have information given to us. We have ordered pairs. We have our table. Number 9 is what we call a mapping diagram. And so we look and we see that for mapping diagrams, they don't repeat the numbers, they instead repeat the arrows. So we want to look to see if there's 2 arrows coming from the same x value, and we see there are. Since it's saying 10 goes to 8 and 10 goes to 10, since it goes to 2 different numbers, this is going to be not a function. And then for a graph, we just simply want to do vertical line tests. So we just take our pencil and go across. And right away we can see it has an issue by we're drawing this vertical line here, we hit in 2 different spots. So it fails our vertical line test, so this is also not a function. So again, when we're looking at ordered pairs, or the table, we want to see if there were repeats, and if there were repeats and they go to different y's, not a function. If there's no repeats, then we're okay. We're looking at a mapping diagram. A repeat is shown as having arrows coming from the same x value. So this means 10 goes to 8 and 10 goes to 10, because it's repeated to 2 different y values, not a function. And for a graph, we just simply draw a vertical line. Let's go take a look at the back side. Alright, so it says which of the following graphs appears to be a function? And then for number 14, which relation is a function? So let's take a look at number 13 first. So again, when we're dealing with graphs, we want to do vertical line tests. So I'm going to go ahead and just bring up a vertical line here. You can just use your pencil. So as I move that along, for A, we can see it fails it. There's that line. It is a vertical line, so it fails the vertical line test. Let's check B. It hits one point there, we're fine, but the second we move it over, we can see it hits in two different spots. Let me go ahead and mark these. So not A. Again, with B, we can see it hits there and there. So two spots at the same time, so it's not B. Our goal is that it hits only once. All right, for C, to move along, it's only hitting the graph once, kind of like riding the roller coaster there. So it looks to be okay, but let's just go and check D. The moment I put it on, we have an issue. It's hitting the graph in two different spots. We have right there, right there. So if that happens at any point in time on your graph, it fails the vertical line test. So that's not going to be it. C is your answer here. Okay. And then number 14, it says which relation is a function. So again, for graph, we do vertical line test. We can do the vertical line test on here as well, or list out our ordered pairs. And then for B, remember domain is X, range is Y. So we want to look to see if we have any repeated X values. And then our ordered pairs down here at the bottom. Let's go back to page 1. Again, we're looking at our X's to see if there are any repeats there. So we'll just start off with D. I see I have -6 repeated, but they go to different Y values. So because they go to different Y values, then that's going to be not a function. And they want to know which one is a function. All right, for C, if I do that vertical line test again, I'm going to bring my vertical line over. Oh, it hits at the same spot, or in two different spots here at the same time. So this is going to be not a function. Here we look, no repeated X's, so that seems to be a function, but let's just go and double check A. Again, we want to do vertical line test. And when we come across, we have infinite points happening at the same time, so this is not a function. So our answer is B. Do you have any questions on the back side there? So what I would like for you to do is you can either work individually or with someone nearby you. I've left only these 4 problems for you. So we have 1, 4, 7, and 10. This left column. I would like for you to do these guys. Give me about 5 minutes to do that, and then I'll be breaking you up into groups, and we're going to do a card sort. We'll talk about that more after we go through this. So again, go ahead and check your answers, and a reminder, when it is a function, you do want to list your domain and range. So check your answers for that left column. Do we have any questions on 1, 4, or 7? Yeah. You should still go from least to greatest for both of them. So see how it goes like 3, 4, 5, 6, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you always want to go from smallest to largest. So then for number 10 here, again, we have 2 points that if I were to take my vertical line and go across, it would hit it at the same time. You list out your ordered pairs, you see repeated ones, and they go to different Y values, so it's not a function. Okay, any questions with that? All right. So let's go and take a look at, I think there might be one more page. There's just a little bit more of multiple choice here. So these are going to be similar to the types of questions they have on the SOL. So we like to give you some examples of those. So 15 asks which one is not a function. Again, remember to use your vertical line test for that. Then here it asks for the range. That's talking about our y values. So we'll talk about our y values there for our range. And again, range talking about the y values. So you're just listing the y values. And then on the back side here, it says which number is not an element in the domain of this relation. So we're talking about the x values. We're just trying to figure out which of these is not part of my x's. And this can be similar to what you did for your homework. Create a relation containing 3 order pairs with a domain of 0, 3, 9. So these are your x values. You want to pick which ones, have those there. So I'd like for you guys to go ahead and do those 5 multiple choice. Yeah, those 5 multiple choice problems. Again, you can work individually, you can work with someone nearby you. And we'll come back together and go over it, and then we will divide into groups. Give about, this one you don't have to really write anything, you're just choosing your answer. So I'm just going to say about 3 minutes on this guy. Alright, so for those multiple choice, just we already did those together. Alright, so which one is not a function for number 15? B, it fails at vertical line test. If you do your vertical line test on any of these other ones, they're all okay. It only hits at 1 point. 16, we're just talking about that up here. So the range is your y value, and so it starts, we go from bottom to top, it starts at 1, and it's everything bigger than that. So all numbers greater than 1. And again, range, we're talking about y values. So I look in my y values I have, again, I'm going bottom to top, so I have -2, 1, 2, and 3. Those are individual points, so I individually list those values. This means that we have every single point in between them. These would be connected, but they're not connected, so we list them individually. So any questions on this page? Okay, and then on the back side, just these last 2 problems. Which number is not an element of the domain? So our x values, we have 9, -5, 1, and 3. So 2 is the one that's not part of our domain, those x values. And again, over here for 19, we want to have a domain, so we want our x values to be those. So we're just taking the ones that have an x value 0, 3, and 9. Do you have a question on either of those? Yes. No, typically we would go smaller to the larger, but it doesn't have to be that way. So, like, I would typically look at my x values. I would probably list this one first, but it's okay if you don't. Yeah, it's a good question. Are there other questions with this? Yes.
Wait, how is the line the thing?
Yeah.
Wouldn't it pass right to this line?
So the vertical line test means that when I take a vertical line and go across, it only hits at 1 point. So when I take my vertical line and go here, when I draw that in, it's hitting at every single one of those points all along. We want to only hit at 1 point. So whenever you have a vertical line, it's going to automatically fail it. So an example of something that would pass vertical line test is, let's say I have like this. When I take my vertical line and go along, see it only hits here, it's up there, it's but something like this, when I do my vertical line, I can see that it hits in 2 different spots. It hits here and here. So when I do my vertical line up here, boom, it's hitting everywhere. So it's hitting more than 1 time. It's hitting everywhere on that line, so that's why it's not a function. So we want it to only hit 1 time. You can see here when I draw my vertical lines, it only hit once. It only hit once. It only hits once there. So we want it to only hit once. When I draw my vertical line here, it hits everywhere along here. So it hits infinite times actually, so not a function. Are there other questions with these problems? Okay, so again, just reminders. Domain, those are the x values. Range, those are the y values. And then as we talked about, for it to be a function, we want there to be, if there are repeated x's and they go to diff y's, then it's not a function. So what we're going to do now is a card sort. And so I'm going to break you up into groups of 3. I think I need to take a look and see, after I take attendance, who all's here and how many groups we can do. But you're going to be given a stack of cards, and I'm going to go and bring it up here just so you can kind of see an idea of what's happening. So you're going to get a stack of cards, and you're going to, as you can see, we have tables, we have some graphs, we have some mapping diagrams. And so what you're going to do is, for each letter, let me bring up your, there you go. For each graph, you're going to list the domain and range and decide if it is a function or not a function. So for example, here's graph X. So I'm going to first decide, is this a function? And I'm going to decide my domain and range. So we're going to do that next. I'm going to actually have you go ahead and gather up your stuff because you're going to move to work with your group. So go ahead. I'm going to pass out the papers and then gather up your stuff. Alright, so you're in your different groups. You've got groups of 3 or 2. And again, what you're going to be doing is that paper in front of you. So I'm going to, in just a moment, I'm going to hand a chunk of cards to you. Listen up, please. I'm going to hand a chunk of cards to you. It doesn't matter which order you go in. You can go in alphabetical order, or you can just go in whatever order the cards are in. Listen up, please. So again, whichever card you pick up, then that's going to be where you go to that graph and fill in your domain, your range, and decide if it's a function. And what you're going to just put in a discard pile. So again, it doesn't matter which order you go in. And for some of you, they print on both sides. One side was printed incorrectly, so ignore the X side, just decide it's not the X side. And so work with your group mates. Talk with one another, help each other out in deciding how to know if it's a function, what your domain and range is. And this is just time to practice and ensure that everyone knows what they're doing, because we will have a mini quiz next class over this. So go ahead and sit up here. And then just let us easier for you guys to work. So this is great. Okay, so everyone should have a stack of cards. And again, once you grab a graph, then you're going to go to that graph on your answer sheet, decide if it's a function, and then fill in your domain and range. Definitely use each other to help each other out, but I'm also available for questions. Actually, before we start, let's go and have you just introduce yourself to your partners or your group mates. Say what your name is and one thing you did this weekend other than sleep or eat or watch Netflix. Okay, so just a reminder that when we have a graph, let me pull back up our practice area we're doing. When we have a graph with arrows, like over here for number 12, This arrow means it's going to the right and it's going up forever. It's slowly going up and going to the right. This is going to the right and going down. When we have a graph where it's that smooth connected line, especially with arrows, that's when we often will have our inequalities. And we sometimes also have belong to the real numbers. So you'll notice here, again, we had a line, a graph with a line on it, a curvy line. So we have all real numbers, we have inequalities. Now, it's not guaranteed that that's what you're going to have, but that's common. When you have a graph, you might have inequalities and you might have all real numbers. So just a reminder, all real numbers is when we have, for domain, when we have everything to the left and everything to the right. All real numbers for range is everything down and everything up. So you're just going to look to see here. When I look at my arrows, these arrows indicate it's going to, it's kind of hard to draw. It's going to keep repeating, doing this little knot there. So I have it's going forever to the left and forever to the right. That's why I had all real numbers for my x's. But for my y's, so I go bottom to top, and the graph doesn't even start happening until right along here. And that's at -1. And then it stops, the highest point is right along here, and that's at +1. So that's why we have that inequality. Over here for number 12, again, we have it's forever to the right, forever to the right. So for my x values, I'm going left to right. My graph doesn't even start until right here. And my x value there is 0, and then we have everything to the right. So x is everything bigger than or equal to 0. For my y's, it's forever down and forever up. So that means that we have all real numbers. So you'll have those types of inequalities and all real numbers, mainly when we're working with the graphs. I'll keep coming around and check to see how you guys are doing. Free to ask me questions, talk to each other as well. Probably about 10 more minutes and then we'll come back together and go over it. So let's take a look at our answers. Go ahead and gather your cards together, put them in a nice stack for me.
Wow. You even spell it right. Good job. You get the board. You're adopted. Good job. Oh, you can't spell. You get the board. You made it to freshman year.
All right. So if you would put your cards back in a stack and then count them. Have one person bring it back up to me, tell me how many you have. You should have 24. So if you are missing one, look around you, see if it's on the floor somewhere. And then go. You don't need to move back to your original seat. Just go and put the desks back in rows. I'm going to go and bring the answers up here, and we'll take a look at those.
What happened?
Yeah, 25. 24? Awesome. 22. Yikes. Yeah, 24? Perfect. Awesome. 24? Awesome. 24? Perfect. Hold on, so bring over now. Did you have 24? 25. You lost? Wait, what?
Wait,
You
how much
didn't
is
gain one. 24. Did you have 24? Yeah. 24 as well? Perfect. Okay. So go ahead and you don't have to return to your original seat. You can stay in the seat that you're in. But I want to go ahead and take a look at the answers. And there's one particular one I want to draw your attention to. Oh, you know what? I think she went to the bathroom. She'll be back. This is Angela's. This last so just make sure whatever book is requested. So just put your stuff to the desk. Okay, so I want to go and take a look at our answers, and this will also be posted to Blackboard, so you can double check if you didn't get to see them all here. Let me see if I can zoom in some. Now, again, when we have a graph that has like a line on it, that's when you're probably going to have inequalities. So these just being points, were probably just points on the graph or tables. And now, remember that we don't say x equals all real numbers. What we do is we write this. Oh, it's not going to be right. Okay, I'll write off the side here. We use that weird like CE looking thing, so x such that x belongs to real numbers. So graph G, I can already make the guess that it probably was some sort of line. Alright, the one that I want to take a look at was, actually let me scroll up to it here. This guy where it says input output. So this is just our function notation. We'll be talking more about that next class. But all this is saying is it's actually just y equals x squared minus 5. And so the easiest way to do this right now, you would probably need a calculator to do it unless you remember how to graph quadratics from last year. But I would imagine most of us probably either didn't learn that or don't recall it. So all you would need to do, because they didn't give you the graph for it, is that you can just go to y equals, and there you will type in x squared minus 5. So x squared minus 5. So f of x is the same thing as saying y equals, and then you just click graph, and it would graph it for you. So instead of you having a picture of the graph on your card, you would put it on your calculator, and then now you have a picture of the graph. So now we could say, okay, this goes on for forever up. So I have -5. Y is everything greater than or equal to -5, and then my domain, it goes forever to the left, forever to the right, so it'd be all real numbers. But that was kind of weird. So let me go ahead and go back to our answers, and you can look through those while I pass out homework to you. So I think we're on the bottom part here. So your homework for tonight is worksheet 9. And next class we'll go over this as we always do, and then you'll have a mini quiz on it. And again, I'll go and put the answers to the card sort up on Blackboard, just so that way if you didn't get a chance to check it all here, you can check it on Blackboard. I'll keep scrolling. Oh, they were early with the bell today. Okay. So you have TA Stinger 1. Make sure you got your homework. You're welcome. Before heading out. Thank you, too.